Hello YouTube, gonna do another role-playing video. This one is taking a bit of a departure from my last two on tech level. Tomorrow I should actually have another video up on tech level on steampunk and alternate tech lines for GURPS. Since I didn't touch on that in the last two videos, it was just straight historical by the book tech level. But this one I'm going to talk about dice, and specifically the 3d6s of GURPS. If you came to this video looking for there's endless stuff on character generation, dice rolling, which is not why you that's just not how GURPS works. You don't roll dice to make character. That's D&D. That's I suppose Pathfinder is the same way. It sounds like it's a rip-off of D&D. I've never fucking played the thing. Not really sure why I would. Rips is another dice-oriented system. White Wolf is actually not a dice-oriented system unless they've made serious changes in the last few years. But if you're familiar with White Wolf but not GURPS, you do understand at least the mechanism of shifting around points to get a character, and that's how GURPS works. It's intended to have balanced characters. All 100-point characters should, in theory, be the same. If they're a solid character concept, all 100-point characters should be equal. And that doesn't necessarily mean equal in combat, or all equal at casting spells, or stealing a car, or whatever type of game world. It means equal in terms of character participation, not just player participation, but the character. Does the character actually have a variety of skills and abilities that can be used in the campaign or by the party? And it also means balance in terms of their ability to get experience during the gaming session. Because unlike in many systems that basically only reward experience for killing things, GURPS will reward you by role-playing and character participation, but experience will be a totally different video. But this one is going to be about dice. If you clicked on this video hoping to get a long-winded speech about character generation for Dungeons and Dragons, go ahead and stop now. There's several other videos out there that do much better job on the dynamics. My stance on it is, what does the GM say to roll stats? Then do that. There's no reason to make it any more elaborate than it needs to be. But in GURPS terms, dice offers the randomness, not the randomness that you get out of character generation, but the randomness of interaction, the randomness of the individual interactions with other players, with NPCs. When a player wants to interact with the world in terms of creating something or repairing something, using, say, professional skills, any situation that can be left to chance, and that's not a steadfast necessarily GURPS rule. In the main book and in several locations and several other books, GURPS does kind of reference this idea that if it doesn't make sense and it doesn't fit a good storytelling or good role-playing and can hinder the game in a negative way, don't follow the rules on a clear-cut railroad guideline. You don't have to roll for everything, but if you're not sure what to do, roll. Leave it to chance. And to me, that's one of the mechanisms, at least I've found in the GURPS system. And other systems have this to some degree. It's usually focused around things like random encounters or skill checks or whatever. Oh, you've failed, you gotta wait an hour. You've failed, you can never You can never try and lift the gate again, or whatever it happens to be. But not just in terms of using your skills, but even the most simple interaction could be left to chance. And it doesn't have to be, but as a GM, it gives you a lot of different opportunities to introduce new elements into the game. Say a party is in a shop and you haven't come up with anything for an NPC or a shopkeeper, but somewhere along the way there's certain kind of half-thought character ideas you want to introduce. Well, roll a reaction roll for that NPC, and it turns out that this NPC might hate them, or they might like them, and that if they do like them, they could become a source of information. They could become a voice or a new means to introduce certain NPC concepts you wanted to use, or if they turn out to be disliking them, they could be some sort of catalyst for the plot, or even working with the villain or the main antagonist, or they could just be a dickhead that happens to own that particular shop, and it just makes a very interesting encounter instead of going into every shop where the clerk acts like a Walgreens employee with a little name tag. How can I help you? Is there anything that you need? Okay, just ask if you need questions. That's really not what makes do you remember those people at Walgreens, or Target, or Walmart, or Sam's Club, or Costco, or wherever? They're just faceless people. You remember the shirt and the little name tag, or the vest, and whatever their uniform happens to be. You don't remember those faces, and your players are not gonna remember the faces, or even develop those faces in their head, in the mind's eye, if there's nothing interesting about them. So you throw a dice roll in there, and you can leave those NPC encounters up to chance. Another great mechanism for the chance element is in simple. Simple might not be the right word. It would still be basic skill uses. I've had a number of different players over the years that made characters that I don't want to say they're builders, but you could call some of them the gadgeteer stereotype. One character that I'm thinking of is a blacksmith, and so there are a lot of roles that he would have to do just to make one sword, and that was his choice. That worked on character concept. I could have just said roll blacksmithing and you crap out a sword, but he wanted to make epic weapons. He wanted them to be artistically beautiful and highly functional at the same time. So he roll an artist skill, sculpting, to do the metalworking on the hilt and the handguard, and then he'd do a metallurgy roll to make sure that the ingot he was using was pure and conformed to the needs he wanted. And then he would meditate for an hour. There's another roll, passes meditation, and then he'd actually go into the skill rolls of making the sword blade and leather wrapping of the hilt. He wanted to do it incrementally, but the bonus to him with that randomness was, what if he does roll well? Then he doesn't just get an average sword. He rolls high level or high rolls, which in GURPS would be critical successes, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, depending on the level of your skill. And he had a high skill level too, so it worked in his favor. But he wanted those random situations, because if a weapon didn't conform to his standards, he'd toss it out. He didn't want average weapons. He wanted the experience of building each individual weapon. So in a sense, for him, the randomness actually made each weapon unique, and he actually named several of them, would give them out to other players and NPCs as gifts. So he incorporated into his character concept, and it wasn't just this kind of role-playing mechanism that sometimes less than entertaining aspects of some of our games end up becoming. Well, you just, that's just how the game works. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to work that way. And if you can work a way into that mechanism, but make it seem organic and natural into the role-playing experience, that randomness actually can be quite fun. And also, I think the most poignant and memorable use of the randomness factor of rolling the dice just to see what happens is during the climax, or a very epic, or a part of the story, or a part of a certain character's development maybe, that has really been building up a lot. And there will always be these kind of moments, especially if you have good players and they have a good solid character concept, especially in a system like GURPS, or even Riffs has its mechanism and actual gaming elements are kind of flawed in many ways. I hate to say it, but I think it's a broken system. It has a lot of beautiful potential because there's so much variety to it. But you can, with a good player and a good concept, they will have these story arcs and these character arcs that are part of the overall story, drawing everybody in, player and the GM as well. But there'll be these moments where they build up to it, and maybe they're setting the bomb or something on, whether it's a black powder bomb on the gate of the castle they're sieging, and the other players are holding shields above them to make sure they don't get shot. But what the randomness there? What if somebody makes a critical failure and they don't block that arrow, and now the guy setting the charge just gets hit? And the same thing could be happening with bullets and riot shields in a modern campaign, or even a near future campaign. But the same sort of concept, where somebody making that randomness, it doesn't even have to be a critical failure, just any sort of failure. What happens? Well, now you just had a random moment. Well, there's an arrow in the side of the guy that's trying to plant this bomb. What do? You got to hold concentration. There's another roll, another bit of randomness that adds to this story that not you as a GM or them as a player knew was going to happen that night. And it all builds up into a memorable story that is not just a memorable story, but to both the GM and the players involved, it's original. It wasn't you when those moments happen. Okay, you get hit by the arrow, and so fails. If I get out of this, I'm gonna kick his ass later. And maybe you make that save, and you set that bomb or whatever, and it goes off perfectly. Maybe you fuck it up, and now you have a whole new storyline, or a whole new tangent. If you blow it up and kill all the players, then you have a whole new campaign that you need to start over with. But that's a different scenario. You could possibly not kill everybody, or only kill the one person involved, or it could be a gracious GM and they could decide that the bomb was really a dud, and that's what the 18 means. But all these little bits of success or failure, especially with GURPS, because there's a 3 is always going to be your. Of course, if you play GURPS, I'm not telling you anything new. Like 3, that's always a good thing. That puts a smile on any player's face. That's a critical success. Where the fuck's the camera? There we go. The 18, on the other hand, is what every player dreads, and you can hear it around the table. It's the same thing as when somebody rolls a 1 is a failure in D&D, and a natural 20 is. I don't fucking play that often. I'm terrible, but you can feel it when somebody does roll an 18 because they don't even want to move their hand away, but they know by the expression on their face and the sigh they just let out, everybody at the table knows they just fucked something up. And it adds to the excitement and it adds to the moment. Sometimes it can really suck and it maybe can take a little bit of wind out of somebody's sail, but as a resourceful GM, there's always an opportunity to incorporate that into the story and make it a part of everybody's experience rather than just somebody's failure. It's randomness. You never really know what's going to happen. You never really know whose player is going to do what. Yeah, there's predictability, but there's still that element of randomness. What did I roll? What did I get? Am I going to pick that lock? Am I going to change that tire? What just happened? Maybe I'm trying to free my friends from the local baron or something like that, and I'm given a one-time shot to give a speech or something, and I screw it up. I was all ready in my head to be like, I know exactly what I'm going to say to free my friends, but you're limited by what your character is able to do, and if your character fails his skill roll, all the great words that the player comes up with aren't going to matter. But there's still other opportunities, maybe to free those friends or something. Maybe a jailbreak is going to be the rest of the gaming session, rather than I'm going to sweet talk this guy and we're going to be on our way to doesn't matter. But those are just my random thoughts on the randomness of dice rolls. You can incorporate it naturally, the randomness naturally into the skill rolls, into reaction rolls. But there's, at least for me, there always seems to be the player's question, well, can I do this, or can I have that, or what if I find that? Is there any of the who, what, where, when, and why? And there's not necessarily a chart for everything, and you can just say, I'll roll on it. There's in the section for the skill section in the 3rd edition book, I want to say it's the first page that says your chance of getting a certain die number or less on your 3d6 roll. So if you're thinking, well, whatever sword, or a guy that knows the way to Canada or whatever, there's only maybe a 40% chance of finding somebody like that. So you can reference that book and say, I want to say there'd be like a 6 or less. If you're thinking there's a pretty good chance of something happening, but you don't want to make it set in stone, you can 12 or less, or 13 or less. If you just want to have that elemental factor in there, it's like you've done this 1,000 times, but there's always that chance that you'll drop the primer for the explosive and the whole thing's going to go off. Don't roll an 18 or a 17, and you can tell your players that, and you'll still have that same sort of element when somebody watches a new movie. Are they going to be able to get out of it? Are they going to do it? Is it going to work, or is something else going to happen? Because that's what makes a lot of players, at least, coming back gaming session after gaming session, and they don't know what's going to happen. They're going to like whatever's going to happen, but they don't know what's going to happen. I think I've rambled on this one for enough. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe.